get some spinning done. I've got my fleece from a sheep named Maris out of New Bloomfield, Missouri, and I've got my hand carders. We're just going to card some of this and spin it on this great wheel. I think I've talked about this some in the past, but essentially what I need to do is just take a little bit of it and put it on the card, because I want to really card it lofty, and that way when I go to do my long draw, it's more about my drafting and less about the preparation, because the preparation can definitely affect what's happening as you draw it out. So we want to pull this out. You want it to be barely holding together, and so that you don't have a long tail of fiber that you're drafting while doing your long draw. You don't want to use too much either, although just putting more fiber on the cards will make it, it'll make the fiber denser as you draft it, which is a problem for the long draw. So here you go. You just pull this apart, and I've got it sitting a little far away from me, but I like that. I get a longer draw when I do that, and I don't mind that a bit. It's more fiber each go, and that works nicely for me. We're off and running. Now, as far as the amount of fiber, because as you can see, I only got about 4.5 meters of yarn out of that one card. And now, this is probably double that though, so another 9 on top of that. I'm only getting like 13 or 14 meters because I don't overload my cards. So what you can do is you can add more and see how that works for you. And then just dial it back enough so that you're not getting clumpy yarn if you're wanting, uniform, because the uniform drafting is coming from having such loosely carded fiber that it's really easy to just pull it apart as you go. Another thing that you want to keep in mind is that the more fiber you take, the longer it takes you to card it properly. And it's kind of nice to just hit the fiber a few times with the brushes, then spin it, and then hit the fiber a few times with the brushes, and then spin it. So that's also an added benefit of not putting hardly any fiber on the brushes. But see, like, I'm almost already ready with this set, so I'll pull that off, and then I like to separate my two cards. That keeps them even less. I always, and I think I have said this before, but I always use the smaller card first. When I say smaller card, I just mean there's more fiber on one of those halves when I pull it off each time, and I use the less fiber to begin with. I find it usually lets me catch my stride after carding and before carding the larger amount of fiber. Because if the larger amount is a little more densely packed, it's alright, because you've already had a run on this loosely packed stuff. And you can always stop and draft out these thicker parts. I don't mind clumps that much if it happens. I feel like it's organic, but a thicker run of yarn, it feels to me like I either haven't carded it properly, or I have not drafted it right as I was going out, and so the thicker runs of yarn I'll thin, where a clump I'll just leave in. I'll be like, what? This is hand spun, fool. That is my thug knitter impersonation. You might also notice that I didn't spin all the way to the end of that carded roving. Like, this is still fluffy here. I don't mind that because it's going to be easier to join with this next run of fiber. When you're spinning on a spindle wheel, you don't really have to worry too much about where you end and where you start, because it's so easy to just pick up and go. But if any of you out there that are watching this have moved to spindle wheels, then you probably already know that. So if you don't, maybe that's a little bit of encouragement. Now I will show you too, if people don't know what's going on with these carders, the teeth are bent back towards the handle, which means when you pull away from the handle, it grips the wool and won't let it go. But when you pull back towards the handle, it'll just let the wool come off really easy. And so that's how it's working. So when I do this, it cards it, but when I do this, it just pulled that whole card of wool right off onto the other one. Then I can get a better comb on it. And that's that. Now, here's what I'm going to show you though. Over time, you build up a lot of wool sitting in these teeth that doesn't come out when you get it like this. Well, if you just move back and forth towards their handles, you'll work all of that wool down and out to where you can pull it off and have a go. As a matter of fact, that's the wool we'll use before even using those cards that we just did. So we'll put this here, and we'll spin this on the yarn. And Bob's your uncle. Of course, if you're going to do that deep clean trick, you might want to do it before you shift fibers. So like if I had been doing Maris and then I was switching to Catherine, I'd want to clear out Maris before I switch to Catherine. Now, if I'm going to be spinning Maris for a while, because let's say she's got a 4-pound fleece and I'm going through the whole thing, I don't have to do that between each spinning cycle. There's no point, because it's just Maris in there. But then before I switch to Catherine, I might want to, but definitely before I would switch to a different color sheep. So like if I'm going to a white sheep from a brown sheep, I'm going to want to clean those out so that I don't muddy those colors. We're about to find out what time it is. That's 1. That's 2. I guess it's 2 o'clock. In about a month's time, we're going to have the spin-in here in Missouri, and I really enjoy doing that. I've only missed that 1 year, and it's because I woke up with an inner ear issue and couldn't sit up or walk without vomiting. It was pretty bad, so I definitely couldn't make it to the spin-in, although I was very tempted to try. But I went a couple years ago. I'm going again this year. And I really enjoy spinning in a group situation. It's a lot of fun. There were some really neat wheels there last year, too. One girl had bought a manufactured wheel, but she had bought it used off of somebody, and then she had painted it all in the color she wanted, and she had put decals on it, which sounds really tacky, but it looked like somebody had manufactured the wheel this way. Like, I did not realize that decals can look so seamless, and they weren't special decals. They were just things she bought at a craft section in, a department store. But if you have a good eye, I guess she didn't have them all over the place. She just had them in a couple key places, and what it ended up looking like was a Hello Kitty themed wheel that was pink, and it was really nice, but it was just a weekend personalization job she had done to the wheel once she bought it, and everybody loved it. Am I missing a card, or did I just spin both of those? Alright, so now we want to throw little bits and bobs on here. Card it up. I think I'm going to take the family and go bicycle riding later today, because it's really nice out here, and we like to get out on the trail anytime we have the opportunity. So I think today is the perfect day for it. Pull this apart, and I can really kind of use this all as one string, I think. Sounds like we lost our classic soul radio station. My neighbor put that music on and then walked away from the van as I started recording, and I'm not really sure why it was on, but he just thought it needed to be on while he was in the house and the vehicle was out here, which is okay because I like classic soul. That was pretty good. But when he did finally get in the car and leave, we lost our soundtrack, unfortunately. We knocking this out. Well, I was hoping to get 2 podcasts out in less than a week, and it looks like I have done it. I did not know if I'd get to record this one this quickly, but it has worked out, so I'm pretty happy about that. I think we're going to cut it off here. I'm going to do some regular maintenance to the spindle portion. I need to wax the spindle in front of and behind the spindle pulley with wax. That's something you do maybe once a month usually, but I'm getting rid of this wheel probably this afternoon, and I want it to be waxed up well for the new owner. So I already did the axle before we started, and I'll do the spindle as soon as we're done here. But I hope you're liking it. We'll see you later.